Here's some math for you. 93,000, that is the number of students in Denver Public Schools, state's largest school district. 15,000, that's their number of employees. 5,600, the number of those employees who are classroom educators. So now, what happens to that large math when just one person gets COVID-19? The district's internal plans of how to handle that situation got out today. They say the plans aren't finalized, but it did give our Marshall Zellinger some insight into that complicated math problem.
The word problem is called quarantine scenarios, the subtraction of students, faculty, and staff if someone who attends school in person tests positive for COVID-19. DPS is preparing for 13 scenarios. Scenario 1, a student is infected with COVID-19. If that happens, all classmates of that student must quarantine and learn remotely for 14 days, along with any student or staff who took part in before or after school activities with the infected student, all teachers that the student has a class with, and anyone who is within 6 feet of the student for 10 minutes or longer for the previous 2 weeks. That's just scenario 1. What if a teacher tests positive? All students that the teacher teaches must learn remotely and quarantine for 14 days. And any adult within 6 feet of the teacher for 10 minutes or longer for the previous 2 weeks must quarantine. There's also a scenario for a student on a DPS bus who is infected. All other students who rode that bus in the previous 2 weeks will be asked to learn remotely and quarantine for 14 days, along with all students and teachers in classes with that infected student. The worst case scenario involves 4 or more students testing positive. That means the school gets shut down for a deep cleaning that takes no more than 3 days. After the deep cleaning, the school reopens, except we go back to the first scenario. A 2-week quarantine remains in place for the classmates of those infected students, the students and staff who took part in before or after school activities with the infected students, all teachers that the students have class with, and anyone who is within 6 feet of the students for 10 minutes or longer for the previous 2 weeks. So how will the district know if someone tests positive? Will the school be responsible for testing? No. A DPS spokeswoman tells me there'll be health screenings to help determine if the student or teacher should be in attendance, like a high temperature, but definitive positive, negative tests, Kyle, will not be part of the curriculum.
On another note, Marshall, I see that you removed the least humble brag of all time, which was all of your running medals, and replaced it with an enormous photo of Pepsi Center.
It's a nice photo of the Pepsi Center, and I'll show one day where I am in there, and I don't know, you've seen that movie where somebody comes to life in the picture? I can't remember what that movie's called, but that's me on the ice somewhere over there. I'll bring the medals back out. They were just off the camera over here. I'll bring you through the new studio one day.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marshall.